Viewer voice messages, ladies and gentlemen. Now I have to tell you this. I did record 3 answers and I did not have the sound on. So I have to redo these 3. So Terrence, Kermit, Andrew, I'm redoing these answers here. Just a little transparency report. So let's go ahead and get started. Terrence, let's roll.
Yo, what's good, James? This is Terrence. Been a Saints fan since Bobby Hebert back in the day. My question is, do you think the Saints can still make the playoffs regardless of all of the injuries that we have? And yeah, appreciate the content, man. Steve.
Yeah, I mean, it like the Saints can make the playoffs because a lot of people say, "Can the Saints make the playoffs?" We're 2-2, and to that I say, like, yeah, of course. Like 2-2 is not that big of a hurdle. No problem. 100%. Everything's still right in front of us. Like we lost the games that we should have lost. We're at the record we probably should be at. 10 wins, 11 wins is still there. Now you bring up a good point, Terrence, where it's like, well, what about the injuries? Not even talking about the record. That is a difference maker, right? If you told me Taysom Hill's not playing, you told me we have a 5th string center. You told me that Erik McCoy and Cesar Ruiz aren't playing. If all that held true, Demario Davis isn't playing, if all that held true, I would say, okay, yeah, I mean, we're nowhere near the same team. But I'm holding out hope that some of those injuries are this week only, like Demario's back. Taysom Hill, I would assume, is going to be back for the Tampa game. We'll see with the offensive line. I mean, I know, obviously, McCoy is out for 6 to 8 weeks, but, if Cesar gets back, we can kind of figure out what exactly is going on. I mean, the fact that now we're saying, like, we need to get Shane Lemieux back shows how injured we really are. The injuries are concerning, no doubt about it. I'm not going to sit here and say it doesn't matter. I'm not going to sit here and say it doesn't matter that we're on a 4th string, 5th string center that wasn't on the team 4 days ago. No doubt about that. So the good news is that we just have to kind of hold serve through this little period of injuries. If we're 3-3 after week 6, if we drop a game to the Chiefs, beat the Bucks, we're in a great spot, absolutely fantastic spot. So I really wish we were 3-1, 4-0, because man, we'd have a ton of grace room where we could kind of let people, heal up. We wouldn't have to worry about it. But I think if we just, because our schedule really gets easy towards the back half when we're playing the Raiders and the Broncos and the Giants, and when we're playing those teams like the Panthers again, all of a sudden the schedule lightens up. Even Cleveland, like games like that. So we've got wins coming. All right. We just have to hold serve, win the games we're supposed to do, grind out these wins, and then hopefully be healthy at the end of the season. But I think you are right to be concerned about the injuries, but I do think we can still make the playoffs.
All right, James. This is Kermit the Frog.
I would have never, ever, ever guessed Kermit's voice was a Barry Manilow-esque voice. I would have thought it was high or how Kermit's voice is. But yeah, I mean, very, very, was it baritone? Very powerful voice. I feel like I'm talking to Mufasa.
Man, I got a little list here that I'm going to name off for you.
All right.
I just want to get your thoughts on these. Are the Saints forcing the ball to Rashid Shaheed too much?
I would say no. So the Saints, we know what the Saints want to do offensively. They want to run this heavy set, 2 back, two wide receiver, 2 tight end sets. They want it to all look pretty much the same, and then deviate on a play-by-play basis of, moving people around, asking tight ends to be receivers, asking receivers to be tight ends, asking running backs to be receivers, asking receivers to be running backs, and kind of confuse the defense that way. When you do it that way, it limits who's actually getting the ball. Because if you got, if your 2 receivers are Rashid and Chris Olave, naturally they are going to get a ton of targets. So I don't think, now you could argue, is Rashid Shaheed good enough to be the 2 in this situation? Is he that? And I could hear both sides of that argument. I could hear both sides that he's not good enough, and he's not a true number 2. He's closer to that like speed 3. Use him sparingly, but when you use him, it's a big play, and we need like Devontae Adams as the second receiver, or the first receiver, and Chris Olave as the second receiver. But I could hear that argument, but I don't think we're I don't think we're forcing the ball to Rashid Shaheed.
Has the NFL figured out Dennis Allen's defense? Is Olave not?
No. Okay, hold on. No. The Saints defense right now I think is like 5th. The Saints pass defense is like 3rd. The Saints last year had a good defense. I think Dennis Allen's defense is solid. I think Dennis Allen's defense is one of the premier defenses. I think it is risky. I think he does ask, like, he asks his defenders or his people in the secondary to be physical, and that does lead to a lot of defensive pass interferences, and it does. So I think he has a very demanding, very risky kind of defense, but I don't think it's caught up to his defense.
Not getting the ball enough.
Olave not getting the ball enough? Is that what you said? Let me see.
Ball enough. I defense. Is Olave not getting the ball enough? I personally feel like he's not.
I think Olave is getting the ball plenty. I mean, it's hard to like last week he had 10 targets. I think the week before he had 8 targets. The first 2 weeks were blowouts, so he's obviously not going to get a huge target share there. But if you look at the targets, Olave is averaging 6 targets a game. The last 3 games he had 6, 6, and 10. First week is Carolina. It's an absolute blowout. Like, why would he get the ball? So, I mean, I think he's getting it at a pretty good clip. I mean, if you told me that you Olave should be getting 6, 8, 8, 12, like, okay, sure. I think it's ramping up. I mean, again, you're talking about 2 blowouts. He had 2 targets in a blowout, 6 targets in a blowout, and then 6 and 10 in tight games. So, no, I think he's getting a proper share.
The running back position. Why the hell is Jamal Williams still on the team? You know my thoughts on him. He fucking sucks. He sucks bad.
I think the Jamal signing was problematic because of Taysom. Said it 2 years ago. Why are we signing a guy to do what Taysom Hill does? Taysom Hill is a short yardage, goal line, 3rd and 1, 4th and 1 kind of back. Jamal was signed to be that back. Confusing. I didn't like the roster building. Jamal has been better this year, but, I mean, has the game passed that up? Like the idea of just like bruising 3rd and 1, give me 4 yards, tough runner. Has it kind of passed that up? Probably. Like, yeah, but with Taysom being out, I think Jamal's fine for the role. But, you're talking about, yeah, I wish we had a different option. But, I mean, I understand why he's on the team and I understand what his role is.
Oh, there's my oven. Got my potato skins ready.
I hope they're TGIF, the frozen potato skins. Those went hard AF about 10 years ago. I don't know if TGI Fridays is even still a place anymore, but their potato skins used to go insane.
Should the Saints utilize a 3 wide receiver setup?
I don't think so. I mean, number one, we don't really have the horses. Like, we don't really have, what are you doing that for? Are you getting that to get Mason Tipton involved? GTFO. I don't care about Mason Tipton getting involved in the offense. Or I like the heavy personnel. I like that idea. I like the idea of like the 2 back, 2 tight end, 2 wide receiver package, because I like that it looks the same every play. I like that you disguise things. I like that there's motion. I like that the defense never really knows what's going on. I just think it really leans into what this offense wants to do. I don't think a 3 wide receiver personnel, I mean, unless we get a Devontae Adams, and all of a sudden it's like, how do we get Devontae, Chris Olave, and Rashid Shaheed on the field at the same time? But right now, I don't think having a 3 wide receiver personnel would be a positive.
The defense is unable to cover a tight end.
I think this is a misnomer. Something I've heard a lot, and something we dispelled, actually, after the Eagles game. This is something, again, like, it's very easy. It's very, very easy to see something happen and then be like, this sucks or this is good. It's very easy to see the Saints give up 170 yards to Dallas Goedert and be like, man, we can't cover tight ends. And then to say, well, Kyle Pitts is going to go nuts against us, right? But then if you do, any kind of work, you see last year, the Saints were pretty good against tight ends. The Saints gave up about 48 yards per game last season to tight ends. And so then if you look at it this year, You see they gave up, where is it? Jordan Matthews, zero receptions. You see Luke Schoenmaker, 43 yards. You see Dallas Goedert, obviously 170 yards with a 61-yard catch. You could argue that it's really, truly 110 yards, however you want to do it. And then Kyle Pitts, 0 catches. So if you average all that out, even with the 170, that gets you to 53 yards a game. So they're right on average, a little over average because of the 170. If you did 110, you're below average. You're below what you want to do. So Saints can't cover tight ends is actually like, yeah, Saints should give it up about 48 yards, 47 yards, something like that, a game to tight ends. So is that big of a deal? No, it's not. And, why I always say, like, you got to be so careful with that kind of stuff because this is game to game right here. Dallas Goedert, 10 for 170. Kyle Pitts, 0 for 0. So what do you do with this, right? Like, because after this game, you're saying the Saints can't cover tight ends. After this game, you're saying the Saints can cover tight ends really well. So which one is it? The answer is that you have to get your data points and you got to average things out. And luckily, with Dennis Allen, you got years and years and years to average it out. So you can look at last year. You can look at the year before. You can look at the year before. And if Dennis Allen defenses give up 45 yards a game, 46 yards a game, 48 yards a game, and you're going into a season and you see 170, then you can deduce that this is an anomaly. And you look at the rest of them and you're like, okay, we are limiting wide receivers. Like, we're actually doing the opposite. We're not only are we weak against tight ends, or not receivers, tight ends. Not only are we not weak against tight ends, we're actually pretty damn good against tight ends. So be very careful when a spike in production happens one way or the other. Be careful to assume that that's the norm.
We've seen this through the years. Some of the biggest plays have been tight ends destroying our defense. The New Orleans Saints not using their tight ends effectively or properly. And do you think that Spencer Rattler could start sooner than later?
No. Carr's been good. EPA, quarterback efficiency, EPA a play. Derek Carr currently is the 5th best quarterback in the NFL on an EPA per play basis, which is expected points over average per play. So how much better over average or how much better versus average is a quarterback per play, which is a pretty dead on stat. And as of right now, Derek Carr is 5. So Carr's played pretty well. And there's some other stuff here. Quarterback receiver duo target EPA 13th, Carr and Olave. I thought that was interesting. And if you go down here, another look at another computer model, the EPA total EPA for Carr is 6th. So if you're grading really hard, Derek Carr has been a top 10 quarterback in the NFL this year. So why the hell would Spencer Rattler play if you have a top 10 level production from Derek Carr? So no, I don't think Spencer Rattler has any chance of playing this year or anytime soon.
I just want to get your thoughts on these, man. You're the man.
Much appreciated, Kermit. Much appreciated, my friend. Andrew, you are up next.
What's up, man? Been listening to you for a little while now, but I had to call in for this.
Appreciate it.
I don't know how to feel. I feel like I'm trying not to become a hammer in search of a nail here. I just feel like I know moral victories don't mean much in the NFL, and it stings that it was against the Falcons more so than any other team, really.
The Falcons thing, I've seen a lot of people, specifically on the Falcons subreddit, where they're acting like the Falcons beating the Bucs and the Saints is the biggest thing that ever happened in Atlanta. Bigger than when Goldberg beat Hollywood Hogan for the title in the Georgia Dome. I just don't understand it because you're supposed to win those games. It's a divisional game at home against 2 even teams. Those shouldn't be celebrated as we are the dominant force in the NFC South. Those should be celebrated as we did what we had to do. When the Saints play the Falcons and the Saints play the Bucs in the Superdome, spoiler alert, Saints are going to be favored in both games. Spoiler alert, Saints are going to they should take care of business in those games. So, I'm kind of surprised at the narrative coming out of that Falcons game where it's look at the Falcons. They're out of control in the NFC South. They're running rampant in reality. It's they barely barely squeaked by doing what they had to do. So I'm not impressed with the Falcons at all, even with those 2 wins.
But at the end of the day, it's like, what exactly should I be looking at?
Well, Andrew, if you've been watching this channel for a while, but you have to look at the context of the games. Like, you have to look at every game comes with nuance. Every game comes with context. Every game comes with the box score, but it also comes with what actually happened throughout the game. And you could go as far down as a play-by-play basis, or you could look at it just box score stuff. But if you look at the Falcons game, all right, where is it? Let's go last week. All right, I'll show you how I read a box score really quick. So, okay, first down. So the Saints had 11 more first downs than the Falcons. That's good for the Saints. Third down efficiency, 7 for 13, 4 for 11. Okay, I don't want to buy an Acura. 7 for 13, pretty solid. Total plays, we ran 20 more plays than them. Pretty strong. Total yards, 366 and 315. We won the yard battle. Yards per play, they had 1 yard per play more than us, so they won YPP. If you go to rushing, we give up 6 yards a carry. They allowed us to have 4 yards a carry. You go to penalties, pretty similar. Turnovers, we had 2. They had 1, so they won the turnover battle. They had 2 defensive special teams touchdowns, and we had 10 more minutes of time of possession. So if I look at this, if you were to ask me what I thought happened in this game, I would say the Saints outplayed the Falcons, because they pretty much did. But the Falcons probably win because the Saints lose a turnover battle, and you see 14 points here on defensive special teams touchdowns. Now, I would never have guessed that it played out the way it played out, but that's how you look at the box score. So, if you want to practice how to look at box scores, you can go to a random game. It would really work for a game that you don't know. Like, you don't know the result. It would really work for those games. And then cover up the score and then look through it. So, if you look through this game, we'll do this one together too. So the Rams had more first downs than the Bears. The Rams had more plays than the Bears. The Rams had more yards than the Bears. The Rams had more YPP than the Bears. The Rams had better average yards per pass. The Rams had similar yards per rush. The Rams were down 2 in the turnover battle. The Rams won time of possession. So if I'm looking at this, I would say, yeah, the Rams probably deserved to win this game. Turnovers, obviously the great equalizer. So I would assume this game was pretty close. I would assume that the Rams definitely outplayed the Bears, but with the turnover, -2 in the turnover battle, never good. So it wouldn't shock me if the Bears won this game. But the Rams definitely deserved it. You look at the score, it's exactly how it played out, right? So if you're the Rams, you're thinking, we outplayed the Bears. Yes, we lost, but we outplayed them. And if you're the Bears, you got to be thinking, we kind of got away with one here. We need to clean stuff up. We need to be better. We can't have 10 penalties. We can't give up 5.6 yards per play. We have to be better. Yards per play average in the NFL, I think, is 5.1. So this right here, you come out of this, if you're Chicago, you come out of this saying, right now, we are a below average offense. We need to get better yards per play to be at least average on offense. And then if 5.6, if it's the average, giving up 5.6 is bad because you're giving up more than average to a team. So, yeah, they won, but they won with below average offensive production, below average defensive production, so and a ton of penalties. So that's how you got to kind of look at games like that. Like, it's almost like a Sudoku puzzle you're trying to put together. If you just look at the final score, it's like, okay, the Bears are better than the Rams. Are they? No. If you look at this, there's no way you could say the Bears are better than the Rams, even though they are 2-2. The Rams are 1-3, and the Bears just beat the Rams. So that's how you look at games.
You have 2 really wild things that happen, and you still only lose by 1 point on the road, and to a 58-yard field goal,
Yeah.
1 ill-timed defensive pass interference. Paulson Debo kind of got exposed here, but regardless, you have to look at it somewhat, right? That, man, despite all those shortcomings and those really odd, fluky plays, it still came down to the wire.
Yeah. For sure.
And again, I know moral victories don't mean much, but I just don't know. Should I be seeing this in a different light? Should I be thinking, man, there is some real issues here? I thought some of the play calling could have been better, but despite that, you were right there. You could have won this game again. So I don't know. I guess the question is, like, how do you feel? How should I feel about the loss? Thanks.
Yeah, I mean, I think it sucks. You don't want to lose the games, but I think you can take a lot from the game. I mean, like I said, I think you can take Olave's performance, Kamara's performance, the defense's performance. I mean, the defense doesn't allow an offensive touchdown. Yeah, we had some bad luck, and it is what it is. But I would just kind of chalk it up to. We got. Here's what it is. The game. We're 2.5 point dogs. We lose by 2. Like you said, we're right there at the end, despite 2 defensive touchdowns, special team touchdowns, things like that. You got to clean up some of those. You got to clean up some of those problem spots. You clean up some of the like. I don't think you have to tell Rashid Shaheed, hey man, don't muff punts. Like I think he knows, like I'm not supposed to muff punts, right? So yeah, it's just kind of one of those things where it's like, all right, get back on the horse, win the next game, on to the next one. Our goal is not to beat the Atlanta Falcons. Our goal is to make the playoffs, win 10 plus games, make a run. So on the micro, sucks, feels bad. Like I'm not telling you to not be depressed. I was depressed, but this doesn't mean the Falcons are better than the Saints. This doesn't mean the Falcons are going to win the NFC South. It means they won a game at home. That's it. There's a reason that divisional games you get 2. So they won 1. All right. Now we got to win at home when we play Atlanta, and we got to win it. We got to win at home when we play Tampa. So that's how I would read it. That's how I would look at it. I'm not saying, and like at a certain point, like you have to win games. Like if you're in the playoffs and you get bounced, like let's see if we can look at this. This is about to be a wild thing here. Let's see. All right, let's go. ESPN.com is like the worst when it comes to this. Like their navigation is brutal. It's very hard to do this. All right, let's go. I want to go to the Rams game. I think it was 2018. Yeah. So if you go to the Rams game, right, and you look at this. So let's see. We got out yards, first downs are the same. YPP, they were way better than us on YPP. Rushing, they were better than us on rushing. We had 2.3 yards per rush. Time of possession, they were better. So I mean, the Rams should have won this game. The Rams should have dominated this game. This game should not have been close. Turnovers are the same. Time of possession, they win. Yards per play. I mean, they should have easily won this game. And if we would have won, like if the no call doesn't happen, if we win this game, the Rams, in this point in the NFC Championship game, you can take all this box score stuff, throw it in the trash because you just got eliminated from the playoffs in the NFC Championship game. So at a certain point, like you do have to win the game. At a certain point, the box score reading doesn't matter, the grading the game doesn't matter. Throw it all in the trash, But in week 4, it matters. In week 4, that context matters. Thank you very much for the call, Andrew. Grizzo.
Yo. First of all, man, salute to the channel, man. Getting the pleasantries out of the way, though.
No doubt.
I got to go back and look at the stats of when Atlanta said, we're going to force the issue. We got 7, 8 in the box. We're not going to let you run left, even though it was sort of working. We're not going to let you run right. We're not going to let you run up the middle. We're not going to let you get on the edge. We're not going to let you run that toss. You're going to have to make a play on us. And you can see it when we're in obvious passing situations, man. The Saints, that wide receiver depth sort of plays into it because you need some fast guys when you're first in 20 after a hold, when you're first in 15 after a false start, when you're second and 10 after a run doesn't go anywhere. When the Saints are not ahead of the chains, Yes, the defense gave up yards. They also gave up no touchdowns. Yes, Rashid Shaheed, my God, forget your little all-pro selection. But when the Saints are in obvious passing situations, hell, even on the defensive side of the ball, maybe they don't practice that shit enough in practice. Obvious pass. Because we can't execute on offense, the defense seemed to pull their head out of their ass every single time. But man, the Saints situationally, I told you Atlanta was going to say, yo, we're just going to put you in this situation you have to execute. Saints couldn't do that. I'm out.
I think the Saints, like this offense, you are 100% correct. This offense does not want to be behind the chains. Like this offense wants to be ahead of the chains. This offense, no doubt about that. Like this team, and that goes for the 49ers, that goes for the Rams, that goes for any kind of the system. They want to play from ahead because of how good the play action is and how good the running game is, and then you can kind of branch things off of that for the passing game. But the Saints were way better this game than they were against the Eagles, and the Falcons did do a good job of like moving Matthew Judon around, kind of forcing the Saints to run in different areas. We talked about it at length. I thought the decision on when they turned the ball over on downs, the decision to run to the right 3 straight times instead of the left when the left had been dominating, I thought that was controversial yet brave. We ran for 4 yards a rush, nothing special, but I'm not going to say we were successful on the ground, but it wasn't anything horrible, I guess, on the ground. I mean, Alvin was 19 for 77, 4.1. Again, 4.1 is nothing to write home about, but they don't want to be an obvious passing downs for sure. I do agree with that, but I think that's just kind of a hallmark of this offense. You can see San Francisco get into some serious trouble as well if they go down 10-0, 17-0. 14-0, their offense kind of falls apart as well. It's just the dangers of this offense, and they do, third and 14 is never going to be this offense's calling card because the whole personality of the offense is you run the same. Think about it. All right, you come out, it's 3rd and 12. You come out in some heavy set. You're moving people around. The defense doesn't really have to do anything because the defense knows you are throwing the ball. The defense knows, like, all right, we can kind of ignore all that. And if you ignore the noise, or if you are able to ignore the noise of this offense, you're going to do pretty good. Like that's what Philly did. Philly was static. Philly didn't do nothing. Philly set up, they ran their defense, and they told the Saints, y'all can do as much motion, moving stuff around. Y'all can do all that y'all want. We are doing exactly the same thing no matter what. We're not moving. We're not changing. And it completely kind of broke the system. So that is, and you don't have to you don't have to pay attention to what's going on when you know, like, okay, it's passing down. So I agree 100%. Like this offense does not want to be 3rd and 12, 2nd and 15, 3rd and 10, but no offense does, right? So you're right in your assessment there for sure. Divine Eternity, you are the main event. Let's roll.
What's up, James? I'm recording this on a Saturday. I usually record right after the game or the day after, but I needed time to meditate and rejuvenate.
No doubt.
That loss we suffered in Atlanta.
Yep.
With that out the way, I just wanted to discuss what I think our key to victory is in the Chiefs game.
All right. Now, he said this 19 hours ago. So I think that might be before Taysom was officially ruled out, and maybe before the final injury report with the center situation.
I think New Orleans are going to have to come out and start bad. I think they're going to come out, I think they need to come out, be bold, be tough, be strong, be confident, and take their points when they can get them and just score.
When you're a dog, an underdog, you have to play ahead. Very rarely does a dog go down 10 points and then win. Very rarely a dog goes up 10 points and then slowly bleeds the lead away, and then it comes down to a last-second situation, and that's when you see upsets happen. But the Saints have to come out fast and score. I don't mean they need to be up 35-0 at halftime. It needs to be like first possession, score. They have to be set up or tied or right there with the Chiefs. They cannot 3 and out, Chiefs score, 3 and out, Chiefs score, game's over. We can't be down 10-0, 14-0, 17-0, 21-0, 21-3, 21-7 because the Chiefs are too good. So and the way I think we're going to score is by throwing the football. The Chiefs have a bad pass defense. Chris Jones is the man. We are not going to be able to attack the middle of the line of scrimmage. We have a fifth-string center. We don't have Taysom Hill. We're not going to be able to run the football up the guts. Pause. So we're going to have to get creative. Tosses, zone, screens to Kamara, get Kamara out in the passing game. It's going to have to – Derek Carr is going to have to win this game. I'll tell you that right now.
Just get at least a two-score lead on these Chiefs, man. I think they're going to have to be bold on offense. Carr's going to have to take shots. Yep. And I think that's how they're going to win this game.
Agreed. Rashid Shaheed is going to have to find his form. Again, he's going to have to find his form down the field. Chris Olave is going to have to get involved down the field. We're going to have to push the ball, for sure. This is going to be a Derek Carr game.
I think if they can do that and hold the Chiefs offense back, at least make them punt or hold them to 3 points, which I do trust our defense to do that. But, yeah, I think that's going to be our key to victory. I mean, the difference between the last 2 weeks and the first 2 weeks is the Saints had at least 2-score leads in those games when they were just dominating and holding the other team's offense back.
Yeah.
And I think that's a blueprint to what this team is, and I think they need to get back to doing that.
I mean, you can see the last couple of weeks. Like, if the defense is playing well or if the defense is limiting the scoring, the Saints have a chance. And that is what's going to have to happen in this game. The Chiefs' offense is not what it once was. They're going to try and dink and dunk and just kind of grind it out. The Saints' defense welcomes that. So if the Saints' defense can limit Kansas City to 21 points or less, and if we can find some of that success that we've seen the last couple of weeks, there's no reason to believe it's not going to be a last possession kind of game. There's no reason to believe it's not going to be a 4-point game, 3-point game, 7-point game. So, and when you're on the road against Kansas City, the world champions, that's all you can ask for. It's like, okay, give us a chance, give us a chance in the last possession, whatever. So, agree 100% in your assessment of this, like the path to victory of this game.
But yeah, that's what I got. Who that go Saints?
Yeah, it's going to be tough. I mean, guys, it's going to have to be Derek Carr. It's going to have to be the defense steps up. It's going to have to be we beat them through the air. That's it. It's not going to be Alvin Kamara has a monster game running up the middle. So how creative can Kubiak be? He knows the issue. He knows we have a practice squad center who's been with the team for 4 days. He knows we're injured. He knows there's no Taysom Hill. He knows they have Chris Jones. He knows that's there, right? Now Kansas City has some problems too. No Pacheco. Does Samaj Pirine instill fear in you? Does Carson Steele instill fear in you? No Rashee Rice. Okay? So can Dennis Allen take away the little bit of weapons they have, smush the game, make the game, muck it up, make the game ugly and slow, and that's what we need. I think it's going to be a slow, grinded out kind of game, and the Chiefs' defense is bad against the pass. Can we take advantage? It's going to be I'm telling you, it's going to be Derek Carr. Derek Carr can make a true name for himself in this game. If he wins this game, if he goes out there and outduels Patrick Mahomes, he will be a hero in New Orleans. So it's all up to him. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for the questions. Per usual, much appreciated. Remember, we are streaming for the Chiefs game, live game, whole game. Be on the YouTube channel, Twitch, and Twitter. Do some giveaways celebrating 10,000 subscribers. So I'll see you there. Thank you very much for watching this one, and I will see you in the next video.